I found someone who's enjoying the sun. Well, the warmth of the brick anyway. Bye. So on Saturday, a boring part of homesteading that I never show you is my night in baseball cap and jeans mows, and I do the weed eating. So I've got a little battery powered weed eater that is just my size, so that's good, but not very much fun. A small airplane flying over today. Not very much fun, but we do get to do something super fun this afternoon that I'm super excited about. I'll take you with me. This will give me a hot minute to repair some of this fencing on here, just temporarily. Definitely not permanently. I definitely need to replace the fencing all around the garden. About 3 years ago I did it, well, maybe 4 years I did it with 3 pallets. So I replaced the front of the garden, which is awesome. Now I have to obviously work on the whole thing, one side at a time. There. At least that will hold that up temporarily till I can get the other one built. Yes. We had a really hard time finding the screws, the same screws, to finish the project, so that was frustrating. Went to 2 places and then ended up with something that wasn't quite the same, but it's working, so that's all that matters. Thank you to my knight in baseball cap and jeans, who always adds humor to the situation when I'm frustrated.
Go on. No, go on, go on.
Almost done. So I started getting the plastic off. It is hot out here, you guys. I hate these first hot days. I'm just not used to it yet. So anyway, I'm waiting for the shade to come over the garden, but I've got to get the rest of this plastic. So you get the idea. I put down the plastic to solarize the ground because there was lots of Bermuda grass here. It had kind of taken over, so it worked. There's no more Bermuda grass. Yes, and I'm almost gonna have my raised bed back now. Thank you. Thank you, Jesus. All right. As you can tell, this is not my favorite part of gardening. Push on. We're ready for a new raised bed. Yes. I did learn something about this corner of the garden. It is really scorching. It is 5 o'clock and it is still the sun is so hot. So over in this part of the garden, the shade is coming from that big tree. So I think I'm gonna move my tomato plants over there. I think they are gonna be so much happier here. Yes, and they'll be right here by my porch, so I can come out and water them. I can keep my eye on them, and they've got great tomatoes on them. Look at those tomatoes, you guys. And in Texas, the tomatoes can suffer some sun scald, so this will keep them from getting scalded. Yes. Thank you, tree. Nothing like a huge truck bed of compost and raised bed mix, really, to give you incentive to get a raised bed done. Ah. just waiting for that hot sun to go down a little. Ooh. Okay. So I still have to put the rim around the top, like the rails around the top, and decorate that somehow. So, but I'm excited. I'm gonna fill it. There's the truck with the raised bed mix in it. So I wish I could just come to the fence and throw it over, but I'm gonna have to wheelbarrow it all the way around to this back gate. Oh well. Maybe I should try throwing it over. I'm just gonna be watering deeply while I work. That was a sprinkler. I got a new purple sprinkler for Mother's Day. Yes. Let me get this wheelbarrow out of the way. Now I'm a Texas girl through and through, so I think what I'm looking at here is sandy loam, you guys. I'm used to black gumbo, so I'm not familiar with this. I hope it grows good food. So what do you do if you can't afford to order up some raised bed mix? Well, that was my problem in the beginning when I started my garden. And what I did was I, first of all, filled it with some wood chips to fill it partway up, and some old branches, hugelkultur type method. And then I communicated with some horse bones. I called horse barns to see if they had any horse manure. And sure enough, somebody really nice, who's still a friend of mine, she had this big pile she just put it in. And so I went to the back of the pile and there was compost. I mean, it had composted for probably, I don't know, 6 months to a year. So I got that. So that was like a third of my bed. And then I got a big square of peat moss and put that in there. And I got some perlite. You can also use vermiculite depending on your climate, so about a third of that. And then I dug some soil up from my chicken yard, from my around my trampoline, and I filled it the rest of the way up with that. So you can definitely do it, but it's just, you have to work harder at it. I had to borrow a truck, take the truck, fill it up with the horse manure, unload it. So yeah, it was just a little bit more work and more community, you know, finding a person who had some, and yeah, but definitely doable. And then when I had these beds filled, I still had a couple of beds at the community garden. So I gardened there, and I gardened in these 2 beds, and then I took my vegetables and I sold them to people in my community. I had actually a weekly order of eggs and vegetables for 2 families, and they paid me ahead of time, and I would kind of like a CSA, community supported agriculture. They would pay me ahead of time, and then I would garden it, and I would give them eggs and vegetables every week at church. I would just deliver them every week at church. I think it was every other week. And then that gave me the money to start 2 more raised beds. So I did that, and then started gardening those. Same situation, found a couple families that wanted the vegetables and eggs, and they wanted to support me. And so gave those to them for upfront money to do 2 more raised beds. So that's how I went from 2 raised beds in my garden, and I filled it all up. Let's see, now I have 10. Now I have 10. So yeah, where there's a will, there's a way. Even this time I'm leaving some wood chips in there. Start me off. Look at that, you guys. Homestead victory. I am saving a little bit that I have left for the sweet potato pit. So I don't normally work on Sunday, but I might have to. Depending on if it's gonna rain, I have to look. Okay. Whew. I think I deserve a garden snack. Oh, it was so sweet. Okay, guys, I'm exhausted but happy. I think I took more than a small step. That was big. It really felt big. But I separated it out into several days, so I guess it counts as small steps. And some garden candy. I love the cool of the evening in the garden. It truly is garden candy, you guys. Yum. Okay, what is your small step? Or what is a small step you plan for tomorrow? Leave it in the comments. Let's inspire each other to keep pushing on. Bye, you guys.